Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. My name is Brad.
My name is Miguel.
And we are talking the Spider-Verse today. We have had a non-stop stream of information coming about the Spider-Verse over the last week and a half. And this is one that I'm really, really excited for. How about you, Miguel?
Pretty excited about this one. I know this is going to be, hopefully this will be a long podcast because we got a lot to go over in regards to what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I hope you guys are in for the long haul because this one's going to be crazy. So let me start this off by saying, there will be possible spoilers in here. So if you are wanting to walk into Spider-Man 3 feeling completely out of the loop, not knowing anything, after the cliffhanger in Far From Home, I would recommend maybe ditching after this first little bit. Everything we have, all the information we have is public knowledge. This has been found on Twitter. Everybody's been reporting about this, from Hollywood Reporter to comicbook.com, IGN, Screen Rant, Variety, everybody. So just, if you're leery of spoilers, just make sure that you're aware of that. So first thing, really, we have an untitled Spider-Man movie scheduled for December 17th, 2021. So December of next year. We're about just under a year away. And, I from what I understand, they began filming a few weeks ago. Tom Holland confirmed that. He had posted a picture on his Instagram of him in the full Spidey getup wearing like an N95 mask because of all the COVID restrictions. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it, unfortunately, but I bet they're taking all the precautions they need for it.
Yeah,
I don't know
probably.
if you saw about, I know Hollywood's going through a lot of stuff with the whole COVID thing. I need you to check out the Tom Cruise rant. Oh my goodness, that scared the heck out of me.
Dude.
Yo, he's a top dog of Scientology. That's a religion I don't want to get to know. Like, if you piss off Tom Cruise, basically the leader of Scientology, you're dead. Just sign your will away because you're gone.
Well, the thing that cracked me up about that is that, I'm all for taking precautions. Like, wear a mask, do whatever you got to do. But, there was no, hey, guys, can you please put your mask on? We're just trying to keep everybody safe. We're trying to do the right thing. He went straight into, you it was just whoa. Hold on a second, Tom. Wait, man. But it was he just went off the rails, and it lasted 7 or 8 minutes.
Pretty much. I felt bad for the guy.
I know. I kind of felt, well, you could hear him in the background. They're like, whoa, okay, we're sorry. Okay. They said it 12 times, but he lost it. Yeah, so Spider-Man 3 is filming right now in New York City. Tom Holland, I believe he confirmed a while ago that hopefully they would like to finish that up by the end of February. With everything we're about to go over, plus the COVID stuff and the holidays, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But, hopefully we'll get to, everything will run on time with COVID. The other interesting thing is that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is filming right now in England. Kevin Feige himself confirmed that because he said Elizabeth Olsen is there filming that with Benedict Cumberbatch and the rest of the cast, which kind of brings us into our first little bit of news here. If you watch our first video or our podcast, however you're watching or listening, our first video was on that huge MCU drop from Disney Investor Day. So I think it's 23 titles or something. Am I right? It's a lot.
Yeah, it's about 23.
So one of the most interesting things that came out of that for me was the fact that Kevin Feige specifically said, we are going to have a 3-arc trilogy for this multiverse idea, which is WandaVision, which comes out in January, this Untitled Spider-Man / Spider-Verse film, which is set for December of 2021, and then Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which is set, I believe that's slated to come out in March of 2022. So it's interesting. We're only going to have what? December, January, February, maybe 3.5, 4 months in between this Spider-Verse film and Multiverse of Madness. So I'm curious to see how they're related, because Kevin Feige also said that this Spider-Man film ends on kind of a cliffhanger, which is weird because usually when you have a trilogy, you're completing an arc. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That one kind of blows my mind, man. What do you think?
I mean, like, if it's going to end on a trilogy, it obviously means they have like a lot of plans for Spider-Man. And I think later on in the talking points, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
About the whole Tom Holland and how there could be like even like a couple more arcs about his life. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Right. So we're going to move on to, Zoom is being weird. We're going to move on to confirmed casting. So obviously we have the cast from these last two Spider-Man films: Tom Holland returning as Peter Parker, Zendaya returning as MJ, Jacob Batalon as his friend. What's his friend's name?
Oh, I completely forgot. But
I forgot what his name. I'm a bad fan. I'm forgetting what his name is.
That guy's gonna look really different. I don't know if you kept track of what he's been doing. My man's lost a lot of weight and got bulk.
Really?
Yeah, like
he's hilarious.
Oh, for sure. But he's gonna turn into a complete jock by the time we see him in the next movie.
Yeah, he's hilarious. I think he's an awesome character.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously, it was kind of leaked / rumored early on that we were going to get Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst from the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. I think that first one came out in 2002, I want to say. I think it was 2002. And then we were also going to get Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone from the Amazing Spider-Man films, 1 and 2. So I think that pretty much confirms that we're going to get a Spider-Verse movie. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I would say that kind of confirms it. I'm sure that, Into the Spider-Verse, that the animated movie with Miles Morales, when did that come out? I don't even remember.
That came out, I think, last year, if I'm not mistaken. And that was a solid movie.
Was it?
Like,
I know.
When I saw that movie, I was extremely proud to be a Latino because, I mean, obviously, he has Latin descent in him. But, I mean, it was great seeing that movie. I think it was a good introduction to the whole Spider-Verse because not many people know about it. So it's exciting to see that they introduce it. And it's also going to be fun to see Marvel with their spin on it. Because they're more – the MCU is kind of like a little bit more grounded into reality to a certain extent, if you guys know what I mean. But it should be exciting to see what they got in hands.
Right. And I'm sure the success of that movie is part of what kind of propelled this forward and made Sony and Marvel be like, okay, because Sony, Sony has been kind of reclusive with wanting to hold on to their...
Sony's been a complete prude about this whole thing. You remember when like Spider-Man was supposedly like they lost like I don't know the deal and like Spider-Man was gonna have to go back to Sony. Everyone flipped their mind whenever they heard about that.
Right.
Yeah, Sony is just they're like teasing Marvel and they're saying nah, I'm good. Yeah, I was pissed off when I heard that.
Yeah, and I mean like I'm not gonna lie, my Spider-Man is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. It's sentimental, it's nostalgic, he's my Spider-Man. But for all of the dog crap Marvel movies that Sony put out, The Amazing Spider-Man wasn't that bad. It really wasn't.
It had its moments. I mean, it was pretty good, but I don't know. I didn't get all the hate for The Amazing Spider-Man. I thought it was decent too, but I could tell why people favored the Tobey Maguire one over Andrew Garfield. But I think it's starting to become more popular among us now with the MCU coming in.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think part of the other cool thing about the fact that, they're really doing this Spider-Verse thing is that it's in a way, not completely, but in a way, it's going to make those movies canon. Kind of. If you approach it from the fact that this is a different universe, it kind of makes them canon. So I don't know. It'll be different.
I mean, yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, personally, I think that the MCU is just gonna like use Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and like finish their story because they all kind of left like somewhat of a cliffhanger. I know the Amazing Spider-Man did, and then the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, it ended the arc, but we honestly wanted to see more. They obviously had plans for like a Spider-Man 4, and that got canceled. So I think it's just their way of just bringing them to an end.
Right. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think, there's a video on YouTube of Tobey Maguire being interviewed, and he's talking about the fact that, they had Spider-Man 4 written, I think. And I think the main villain was supposed to be Carnage.
Yeah. I remember hearing about that back then.
Yeah. And I think it was supposed to be Carnage, and then Sony ditched it. I don't really know why. I'm not sure what the story is on that, because I mean, like, obviously, I think out of the whole trilogy, Spider-Man 2 was probably the strongest, if I had to pick one.
Yes. I mean, just in general, Spider-Man 2 is probably one of the best superhero movie ever made, because, I mean, it was just, the storyline was great, the acting was great, and just as a movie as a whole, it was just a solid movie, and I'm sure everyone can agree with me, it was a pretty dope movie out of the Tobey Maguire trilogy.
Right. And I mean, all three of them were strong. I don't mean that. I mean, the first one was obviously fantastic. I mean, I think the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man film with Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst and Willem Dafoe, I think that's probably what set off the last 20 years of so many superhero movies, at least for Marvel. I mean, I think that was what really like made everybody want to hit the ground running. And I know Spider-Man 3 is kind of looked at as the black sheep in that trilogy, but it still wasn't bad. They screwed up Venom. I mean, Venom was really weird. I didn't like that. But other than that, I thought Spider-Man 3 was pretty good.
Yeah, like I liked it, and it got a lot of hype. I mean, like, I think back then, like, they were just hyping that movie up so much. Like, you saw it on pizza boxes, fucking Coca-Colas, and like they were hyping up so much because of this. Like, I think it was like, what was it? It was 3 villains, and like people didn't really like that idea. They didn't like the fact that there was 3 villains. They felt it was too compact. Like there was too many people there, which kind of made the rest of the Marvel films kind of like steer away from having too many villains. And I think the MCU did a really great job with like making that work, because I mean, we've seen how Endgame works, and we've seen how the other Avengers movies work. So like it's clear that it can work. It can work with more than a superhero movie can work with more than 3 villains. So like it'll be interesting to see how they do it with the Spider-Verse. But the only thing that scares me right now is the fact that they're going above and beyond. Like, just go through all of the forums. You'll see that there's probably like 8 or 9 villains now at this point. So it's like they're going overboard right now. But I think they got a good plan.
That's what I was going to say. If somebody doesn't think there's too many villains in Spider-Man 3, you're not going to be happy when you hear this next little bit of what we have to say. But yeah, I remember when I specifically remember the night that we went and saw Spider-Man 3 in the movie theater. I was so hyped about going to see that. Like, you were right. Like, it was a big deal. I mean, like, was Blockbuster still around then?
Yes, it still was.
I believe it was, because, I mean, for anybody that's a 90s baby, you remember Blockbuster. I mean, there was nothing more lit than going to Blockbuster on a Thursday or Friday night. But
pretty much.
I remember seeing that movie hyped up everywhere, and I was so hyped to go in there and see that, and it was just such a big deal. So it's kind of funny because I feel that same excitement for this movie. You know what I mean? Absolutely. there are 1,000 different ways that they could screw this up because of the scale of how big this is going to be. But there are like 1,000 more ways that this could, I think, easily be better than Infinity War and Endgame. I'm not going to lie.
That's a big leap, my guy.
That is a big leap. I don't know.
Because Infinity War and Endgame, it was built over an entire decade. Like, they're creating this within, like, heck, they only took one movie, Spider-Man Far From Home, and they introduced the Marvelverse. The multiverse, and that was it. They literally just mentioned it, and now they're going to create an entirely different movie out of it.
Yeah, and that's fair. I shouldn't say it'll be better than Endgame. It has the potential to be one of the strongest entries in the MCU so far.
That I can agree with, yeah.
I think that's true. So kind of moving on, a while ago, there was a Sony exec that said on Twitter, exclusively on Twitter, that we were going to get a teaser trailer for this movie by the end of the year. Now, we're filming this right now. It is 8:23 on December 22nd, and we have no trailer. So if that's true, they're running out of time. Sony and Marvel better really hop on the train.
I'm almost certain they may do it on, I mean, from a marketing standpoint, you got to do it on New Year's Eve. Like, we're all going to be watching the ball drop, online because of COVID. So it would make more sense to do it on New Year's Eve. But if they do that, I would be hyped to see it. And also, since they're just now starting filming, I wouldn't expect much from the teaser trailer.
Right.
Like, and maybe a couple of CGI stuff, but that's about it. And they'll probably announce the name then. So who knows?
Yeah. And, I think, I've said all along, I really think that Sony had a script written. They had an idea for Spider-Man 3. And then when they got Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and the rest of the cast on board, I think they realized, like, oh, crap, like, we're going to change everything. And I think they scrapped their original idea and went with this Spider-Verse thing. So if they've only been filming for a month and a half, and we just got that picture of Tobey Maguire showing up on set for his costume fitting like a week and a half ago. I
didn't know that.
Yeah. There was a picture of Tobey Maguire getting out of the car. He had on his mask. He was in like a sweater and short, like basketball shorts. And he was on set to go get fitted for his suit, like his original Spidey suit. So,
oh man, it's going to be dope.
So, I mean, it's legit. I think that if we really get a trailer, I'm not sure that it's going to be any real footage. I think it's just going to be, like you said, they're going to release the title. They're going to release the fact that it is a multiverse film. And they're going to drop Tobey and Andrew's names because they know when they drop Tobey and Andrew's names officially, they're going to break the internet. Like, they know that that's going to happen. And if they're smart, they will release it on Christmas Day attached to Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh, really?
That's my guess. I don't know. We could not get a trailer at all because they're like, holy crap, we're trying to film this and do everything and edit. And I'm sure they're freaking out right now. But between COVID and between them, like, actually like trying to pull this off, I'm sure I'm sure they're like, they can wait a couple more months for a teaser trailer. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Also on Twitter, Daniel Rickman, who is he's a source. He's close to the project and to the film industry. You can look him up on Twitter. I believe his handle is @Daniel Rickman. Let me check real quick. Let me double check. Mm-hmm. Yeah, his handle is @DanielRPK on Twitter. He tweeted a couple of things, and he tweeted at one point, and I quote, "This is 100% a multiverse movie." So, he's kind of confirming that this is a multiverse movie. He's an insider in the industry. And then he also tweeted a few days later, "I hear that they want to close things with Tobey before they show us anything. They need that money shot." So then that also begs the question, are they wanting to show Tobey and Andrew in the teaser trailer?
I don't think so. I mean, it would just turn into like a hype movie for Tobey Maguire, because I mean, like the movie is still based around Tom Holland.
Right, and
So,
that
like
I
they
think
want to make
that's
sure.
you can go. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think
Well,
that's going to be the major challenge with this, because they're introducing so many other characters, but it's still got to be Tom Holland's movie. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, him and
Absolutely.
Zendaya, I feel like still need to be like at the core of this, because I mean, the way Far From Home left us, he's in a rough spot. Like all of the whole world just found out who he is. And, you know, we saw him, Peter and MJ's relationship get a little more serious at the end.
Yep.
So, I mean, she's going to want to go through that with him. She's going to want to help him. So they're going to have to find a way to keep them the focus while adding in all these other people.
Yeah. And I think that, I don't know, there's a couple of theories I could see where they could use Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in regards to help Tom Holland in this big, massive reveal.
Right.
I know there's one where, because, you know, I mean, Tom Holland, Spider-Man, like, he's going to be, like, he's going to be charged with murder pretty much for killing Mysterio. Yeah. And he's going to have to go into court or whatever for all that. And one way to protect his identity is by, like, you know, accepting it and going to court. And Tobey Maguire comes in and says, hey, I'll be the Spider-Man while you take care of all this stuff, thus keeping his secret identity intact.
Right. So I don't know. It's crazy. I have no idea where they're going to go. And, you know, it's hard to predict because there are 20 different ways they could pull this. You know what I mean? Like,
I could give you, like,
it's endless.
I could give you 3 theories right now, just off the top of my head about what it could be. Like, but I mean, we would just be throwing blindly at a dartboard. So.
Right. So that moves us on to probably, I would say, the most interesting thing about all of this, and that's the villains. So as of right now, I believe we have 4 confirmed villains, and confirmed is Alfred Molina playing Doc-Ock from the Raimi trilogy. We have Jamie Foxx playing Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man. We have Willem Dafoe playing the Green Goblin from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man from 2002. And we have Thomas Hayden Church playing Sandman from Spider-Man 3, which I think came out in like 2007 or 8? Maybe 2009? I don't know, 7. So those are confirmed. Like, that's happening. And from what I understand, Doc-Ock and Electro are like at the top. They are like the two main
they are the head villains.
They are the 2 main villains, which I think is dope. Because A, it's 2 villains from different universes.
Mm-hmm.
B, they're 2 badass villains anyways. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, like, they picked 2 good ones.
Yeah. Doc-Ock is probably one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, just because his storyline is so intricate and everything. And I'm sure you guys love the Doc-Ock portrayal in the Insomniac games. Like, it was like, he's a decent villain. And for you comic book readers, you know, I won't spoil it, but you know the story that happens between Doc-Ock and Spider-Man in one of the most recent comic books. So, I mean, if you're not aware of that, just go and look it up and you'll find out what I'm talking about. He's a decent villain. Like, I enjoyed it when I saw him in Spider-Man 2. So, like, I'm really interested to see how they interpret this Doc-Ock, because if I'm not mistaken, I mean, they're not going to use the same iteration of these villains, are they? Like, they're going to be different.
Yeah, so basically, Daniel Rickman, who we just talked about with those 2 previous tweets, he also confirmed that these confirmed villains are a big deal. Like, it's not going to be a cameo. We're not going to see a 5-minute cameo of Alfred Molina playing Doc-Ock or a 5-minute cameo of Electro. They are major parts of the movie. So he also confirmed that all of the villains from top to bottom, specifically from the other universes, so from Raimi's trilogy and from the Amazing Spider-Man films, they're going to have different suits. Their tech is going to be a little bit different, which, you know, kind of makes me think we're not going to see it's the same actor, it's the same person. But we're not going to see the same Electro that we saw in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. We're not going to see the same Doc-Ock we saw in in Spider-Man 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I think it's going to be a different version of them from a different universe, but the same actor. So
pretty much, yeah, I can agree with that. You know what they should do? I don't know if you know about this, but there was a version of the Green Goblin that Willem Dafoe played. Instead of having like the motorcycle helmet that he had, it was like an actual prosthetic mask. So like I would love to see Willem Dafoe don the prosthetic mask, because I feel like that would be really dope to see.
I agree.
Like,
and
the mask looked hella good.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that Willem Dafoe was a really good Green Goblin. He was a really good Norman. Sure. Willem Dafoe plays crazy really well, and I think he did a really good job in that first film, like showing Norman's like spiral out of control, like kind of like going insane. Like when they're sitting at the dinner table, I think it's at Thanksgiving, right? And Peter walks in. They just had the whole fight in the burning building and stuff. And Peter's arm is cut, and he sees it, and he's like, "Where did you get that?" And he's like fixated on it, like he can't. It's creepy. And Peter's like, "A bike messenger." And they have that moment of like, how do you know what this is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, I think they both realize it, but at the same time, they're like, I'm going to ignore this and pretend I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And then, honestly, I really like Thomas Hayden Church in Spider-Man 3 as Sandman. I think that's even a cool villain to bring back.
It'd be weird to bring him back because, like, I don't know, his storyline was pretty much about, like, him trying to, like, save his daughter.
Yeah.
So he just steals money trying to save his daughter. But obviously, I'm sure that storyline is probably not going to fit well in the movie. So they'll probably change it up into like something else. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how he does it too. The CGI that they used for Sandman and Spider-Man 3 was top notch. Like, CGI in that movie was pretty good for its time. Like, yeah, I was very surprised to see how it all worked.
Yeah, it really wasn't bad at all. And you know, what about this? What if in this universe that Sandman is coming from, his daughter did die? Maybe he was he was fighting Spider-Man and he didn't get to her in time. Spider-Man kept stopping him from getting what he needed to save her, and she died. So he stays evil. He stays like pissed and like wanting revenge. That would be dope.
I can totally see that. Yep.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would give him so much more motive.
And then at one point, I don't know how I feel about this. At one point, I thought I saw that Dane DeHaan, who played Harry Osborn in The Amazing Spider-Man, was supposed to be cast for this in his same role. I'm gonna be straight up. I did not like Harry Osborn in The Amazing Spider-Man. He was not. I don't know. It was so like he had such like an emo, the world is out to get me thing. You know what I mean? And like I'm not trying to be hateful, but it was the way he played the character. And I mean, I'm sure he's a fine actor. I don't mean this against him. So Dane DeHaan, if you're listening, I'm sure you're not. But
yeah,
if you're listening, I'm not trying to be whatever. You did a great job. But the character and the way he was written was so like, what do you mean you're not my friend anymore? Like, it's like, wait, what? Like, why are you being like this? So I don't know. I'd be okay if they didn't include him. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, if Andrew Garfield's going to be in it, they have to introduce at least like a couple more characters, because I know Electro's going to be in there. So obviously the Green Goblin has to be in there, but then that would be like 2 Green Goblins. So it kind of wouldn't make sense.
Right. And you know,
I don't know. It's probably in the air, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't happen. And you know, the other thing that I kind of noticed after like writing down all of these villains and looking through it, it is really heavy on the Raimi trilogy villains and the MCU villains. We only have Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man. That's it. No Lizard, no Paul Giamatti as the Rhino. That was dope too.
I forgot all about him.
He showed up at the beginning and the very end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and he was like, "You're a traitor!" Like it was good. I liked him. So yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with Dane DeHaan not being out. Dane, no issues with you, buddy. Just I didn't like the character. I didn't like the way the character was written. So then other rumored for this or possible villains that we already have in the MCU is the Vulture, of course, portrayed by Michael Keaton. I thought he did a bang-up job in Homecoming. I really enjoyed it. I thought he was a cool villain. It was a cool, different take on the villain. And then, of course, Scorpion, who I think I remember seeing Scorpion is who he ran into in the post-credit scene in prison.
Yes, that is him.
That is Scorpion, right?
Yep.
And then Shocker, who we saw. Shocker, it was a nice nod in Homecoming, but I didn't think that they really did Shocker any justice either.
No, not at all. But I think he'll come back a little bit more stronger because he was just like a side henchman for the Vulture. So
right, which kind of goes back into the whole thing with Daniel Rickman's tweet saying that they're going to have new designs, new tech. Their armor's going to be different. They're going to be, I guess, essentially a more badass version of themselves. You know what I mean? Which is cool. Yeah. I think that's pretty dope. And then the last two really kind of interest me. Mysterio. I wonder if Mysterio's not really dead.
I'm almost certain he's not dead because, I mean, he's like a master of trickery and illusion. So like,
right.
I know they kind of play. I know they like it showed that he like actually died, but like I'm almost certain there's like a longer game plan that he had.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not mistaken, like the crew is still out there that Mysterio had, and from Far From Home, like they're still out there. They're not. They didn't get arrested. They didn't get caught. They all just ran away. So like, I think there's a higher play on the field. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a hint of Mysterio.
Yeah, I would agree. And, you know, I think the way they set up his character, I could see him trying to frame Spider-Man, get Peter thrown in prison, and finish out that whole, you know, he gets Peter, Spider-Man is gone. And then Mysterio makes his ultimate comeback and everybody loves Mysterio and blah, blah, blah. Like he was his narcissistic self. You know what I mean? So I could see that being part of his master plan. And then this last one, I say this last one, but we really have three more possible villains going on. Kraven the Hunter. Now, I was never wild about Kraven in the comic books. I thought he was cool. I mean, he was a decent villain, but he was never one of my favorites. But, you know, I remember reading probably about a year and a half ago that Kraven was supposed to be in Spider-Man 3. Now, I still hold to my theory that they have scrapped whatever original plot they had for Spider-Man 3. And that they're not going with that anymore because of the Spider-Verse concept.
Yeah.
But, I mean, do you think we could see Kraven in this thing?
Maybe. I mean, again, they're just like adding way more villains that needs to be in there. But I mean, it's all you know, for the entertainment. But I think Kraven the Hunter may ended up being, if I'm not mistaken, that's a Sony property still too. So I think they're trying to create a Kraven the Hunter movie.
Yeah, I think Sony still owns him. And, you know, I don't know. We'll kind of get into the Sony Marvel deals later. But, you know, I don't know. Yeah. That one kind of interests me. I believe at one point he was supposed to be hired to kill Peter. And they were going to do like a Kraven's Last Hunt arc, like from the comic books. I don't know if that's still happening. Like I said, I think there's a lot going on. And, you know, all of these villains, obviously Alfred Molina, Jamie Foxx, Willem Dafoe, and Thomas Hayden Church are confirmed. But everybody else that we just named is maybe. Like, it's possible. So, I mean, until you see it yourself in a trailer or in the movie, take it with a grain of salt. everything we're talking about, take it with a grain of salt. Like I said,
Yeah.
if you're kind of not into spoiler territory, I wouldn't. Don't take all of this to heart. So then that kind of brings us to another big point here. Is with the number of villains we have the possibility of the Sinister Six. So I
mean, obviously.
I know I think they're going towards that. I think they're moving towards some hybrid Sinister Six of all the different universes together. I believe who was in the original Sinister Six from the comics? Do you remember? I know Doc-Ock and Electro were in it, right?
Electro, Sandman. That's 3, right?
Yep, 3.
All right. And I want to say Mysterio 2. And either the Green Goblin and Vulture. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, we have it. IGN had reported at one point or speculated that the Sinister Six for this multiverse movie was going to be Doc-Ock, Electro, the Vulture, Shocker, Scorpion, and Mysterio. So, I don't know. I personally, I think that's a little weaker unless they seriously bump up their, tech and armor. I would really like to see Alfred Molina, Jamie Foxx. So Doc-Ock, Electro, Green Goblin, Sandman, and then you can throw in Mysterio and interchange Shocker, the Vulture, Scorpion, So I don't know. Who's your ideal Sinister Six of everybody that we just talked about?
Okay, so I'd like the Vulture, Doc-Ock, Mysterio, Scorpion, and Sandman, and golly, I can't think of another one. I mean, those are the ones I definitely want to see for sure. And I know those are still most of them are pretty much rumored, but I mean, this is the time to do the Sinister Six.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I completely agree.
I can't see them not trying it at another time because this is the time to do it.
Right.
I mean, you might as well, if you're throwing in the Spider-Verse, you might as well throw in the Sinister Six because, I mean, technically, Into the Spider-Verse had a Sinister Six, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember how many villains there was.
I don't remember either. I know Prowler was in there.
Yeah, exactly. And but I know they should definitely have the Sinister Six come in on this one.
Well, and you have to remember here, I mean, dude, here's the thing is obviously it's not going to be easy. If it was any combination of these just against Tom Holland, I think Tom Holland would be screwed. There'd be a major problem. He would need help. But the fact that we have Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland together, I think it has to be a reasonable match. You know what I mean? If they did Doc-Ock, Electro, and then did Shocker, Scorpion, and Vulture, I mean, Doc-Ock and Electro would be hard, but I feel like the three of them could knock out Vulture, Shocker, and Scorpion quickly. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So,
and I feel like
it's
going to be kind of nerfed because, I mean, you saw the power that Electro had in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. So, they have to at least nerf him to a certain degree. Right. And obviously, I know you said that they all seem overpowered by all these villains. Obviously, there'll be some other supporting characters. There'll be some Shield agents, which actually, I think you forgot, they're Skrulls. So Skrulls may be introduced into the fold as well. So I mean, obviously there'll be some Shield operatives there. Maybe we'll get some other characters into the other heroes into this movie. I mean, who knows? Doctor Strange might also be in there. I don't know if that's confirmed or not.
Yep, that's confirmed. Doctor Strange will. Okay. We forgot to talk about that. Doctor Strange is confirmed for this movie. If you remember at the beginning, we talked about WandaVision, Spider-Man 3, and Multiverse of Madness all being together. I don't know about Wanda, but Doctor Strange is confirmed to be in this Spider-Verse film.
So I mean, yeah, there you go. You have like a decent team to go up against all these villains.
Right. I would think. My thought is that I think Doctor Strange isn't going to have a major role. I don't think he's necessarily going to help them fight these people, because I think WandaVision is going to set up the Spider-Verse. She is going to screw up royally at the end of WandaVision and open this multiverse. And then Doctor Strange is going to be like, Peter, this is happening. I need you to deal with this. Let me explain it to you. I have to go deal with this other thing. You know what I mean? Because even though the release dates are different, you have to remember, if they're really connected and Spider-Man 3 ends on a cliffhanger, we're going to be looking to the Multiverse of Madness film to like resolve that. Like this second Doctor Strange film is going to be the resolution of WandaVision and Spider-Man 3. So I don't know.
I could see that happening, and I hope Doctor Strange gets more screen time in the Spider-Man movie. But I mean, like you said, there's an entirely different movie that he's going to be in.
Right.
But I think it would be dope to see him do a nod towards what's to come, pretty much.
Yeah. And I think it will set that up. So then a couple of other casting calls. These came publicly online this weekend. There were 5 different casting calls total, or rumored castings. So we have first an unnamed agent, male or female of any ethnicity, with a strong New York personality. Now, I would argue, that could be anybody from a SHIELD agent to an FBI agent, anything dealing with Peter and, what Mysterio set him up with at the end of Far From Home. But my thought with that, what about Silver Sable? What if it's a Silver Sable?
From the Insomniac games?
No, Silver Sable's a comic character. I mean, yeah, the Sable, I think they call them Sable soldiers, Sable agents, whatever. They played a part in the game, but I mean, the Silver Sable's a big part of the comic book too. So, I mean, I don't know. I doubt it'll be Silver Sable like herself, because this says male or female. But it could be an agent to kind of lay that egg and like kind of get the ball rolling. I don't know. It could be. I mean, who knows?
Now that you say it, I could totally see that happening, because I mean, we're gonna talk. I think we're gonna talk later on about this whole Tom Holland Spider-Man like arc that's coming into play. Like you said, I think they said it's gonna starting out with him in high school, then college, and then adulthood. Mm-hmm. So again, this is MCU being absolute masters of laying the egg and creating a giant arc.
Yeah. So then the second casting we had was for a detective, kind of same thing. I believe this is a male role. Any ethnicity, strong personality. I believe they are considering 3 people already. I'm not sure of their names. Sorry. And I'm sure the detective will just have a role in the whole investigation into Peter being Spider-Man and murdering Mysterio, quote unquote. But the most interesting of the casting lists that came out was the last 3, and they are for 3 unnamed villains. Now, if you think about this, Venom 2, that is going to come out in June of 2021. Morbius comes out in March of 2021. Carnage is going to be in Venom 2. There's your 3 right there. Venom, Carnage, and Morbius.
But they already have actors for 2 of those.
Right. And I believe the villains have a cast member already. They just didn't disclose who that is. So they're I believe they're trying to keep this hush hush of who they are.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I'm curious to see in Venom, which I think isn't that called Venom Let There Be Carnage? I think that's the title of that movie, right? Yeah.
I have no clue. I didn't know that.
I believe the title is Venom Let There Be Carnage. Which of course we had Woody Harrelson confirmed as Cletus Cassidy, which I think is dope. I think that's fantastic casting.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully they get rid of that hair. Oh my god, that was weird.
I know. I wasn't loud about that. He needs to trim that. You need to take some clippers and scissors to that thing.
Pretty much.
And then of course Morbius, which Morbius interests me. He was another character that I was never like really never dove into of the Spider-Man universe, but I think he's a cool one.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't think he's gonna be with the Spider-Man like arc, because like obviously you know that new Blade movie is coming out, so like right. I think the Morbius and the Blade are gonna mix together, because I mean other than that I can't see who Blade is gonna be fighting against, other than he's a vampire slayer.
Right, and excuse me, I don't know. In the Morbius trailer, it showed Michael Keaton as Vulture, which so that's I think they purposely threw that in there to be like, this is going to be part of the MCU. Like, don't worry, like it's going to be okay. And then we also had Jared Leto walks by a mural of Spider-Man on the wall. So like I'm thinking
that was the Sammy Raimi Spider-Man.
Right. So I'm thinking maybe they're really going to tie that in. Now, I don't think they're going to have, if this is true, I don't think we're going to see Venom and Carnage and Morbius come from a different universe in. I think that would be too mind-blowing. I think they're going to tie in their movies and just kind of fit them into the MCU. Because, if you watch Venom, I liked that Venom movie. I thought it was really good. Obviously it was Spider-Man lacking, but I thought for what it was they did a good job. And hopefully in the second Venom film and in the Morbius film, they'll just kind of slide these characters on into the MCU, without they don't even have to make a grand spectacle of how it all relates. Just throw it in. He moves to New York City. He gets a job with the Daily Bugle. It's JJ, J.K. Simmons playing him, which we saw at the end of Far From Home, which I thought was cool. And then, I don't know. I hope that they just tie them in. I don't want to see Venom come from a different universe and then Morbius comes from a different universe and they meet up. I don't want to do that. It's like, that's too much work, I think, So I don't know. I think they will be established villains by then in the MCU, or at least they could be, which would leave us with, hold on, my computer's being weird. There we go. If we really add in Morbius and Venom, that could leave us with 13 possible villains for this movie. That they 13 villains that they can pull from for this movie. Now, not saying 13 are going to be in it. I don't think 13 villains. I do not think 13 villains are going to be in this movie. But
no, not at all. That would be insane. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. That's a lot of people to cast. A lot of money,
yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot to pick from. There are a lot of different cards they could play. Pretty much, I'm curious to see who they pull. Like what characters are they going to pull in for this? And then of course you even have other characters like I know I saw recently that I believe this was on Twitter as well. Both the teacher, the derpy teacher from Far From Home that was like their chaperone on the field trip when they were in like Italy and France and stuff, plus the gym teacher, they're confirmed. So I don't know, maybe we're going to see Peter back in school at some point. You know what I mean? Yeah, and like back in high school after the reveal has happened and everybody knows that he's Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
they're confirmed. And then, are we going to see all three Aunt Mays? Rosemary Harris from the Raimi trilogy, Sally Field from the Amazing trilogy, and then Marissa Tomei from this new trilogy. I mean, what? I don't
Yeah.
think is there a need to show all three Aunt Mays?
No, not at all. I think it should just be with the Aunt Mays. I mean, yeah, I liked all the Aunt Mays, but I mean, there's no real reason to have it other than to have like a side story, and not even a side story. Because I mean, the Marissa Tomei Aunt May and Jon Favreau are dating. I think it'd be absolutely hilarious for Jon Favreau or for Happy to see all the other Aunt Mays. It'd be hilarious to see.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. And then, of course, is Wanda going to be in it? Is she going to play a role? She's in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Is she going to pop up? I don't know.
I don't think so. No.
I would guess no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Nick Fury and Happy. I don't know. I mean, like you had mentioned earlier, is S.H.I.E.L.D. going to have a role in this whole investigation into Peter Parker and him, again, quote unquote, murdering Mysterio, which we all know was a flat out lie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sure we'll see Happy in it just because Happy's been such a huge role in all of these.
Yeah.
In all of the Tom Holland films. And then, in terms of the different Spider-Men that we could see. So I do have a really unpopular opinion, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there on the internet for people to hear. Leave out Miles Morales. Do not try to throw Miles Morales in this movie. It's going to be too much.
Are they trying to?
No, not that I've heard or seen. I don't believe they are. But when this news broke that they were doing the Spider-Verse, there were so many people that were like, "We're getting Miles. We're getting Miles. We're getting Miles." I don't want to see Miles yet. Leave him out of it for right now. I'm not saying don't bring him into the MCU, but this is already going to be mind-blowing enough. You know what I mean? I think they can do without him.
Yeah.
So.
I think so too, because I mean, we're getting 3 Spider-Mans at this point, and to have a 4th one would just be way too crazy for me to see, honestly. And honestly, Miles Morales sounds like a good storyline for when Tom Holland retires. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. And we'll get to that later. I'm also really interested. I think it's kind of cool. I would be okay with Spider-Gwen if Emma Stone came out as Spider-Gwen from her universe. Because if you remember, she's not going to come from Andrew Garfield's universe because she died.
Uh-oh.
So maybe we good?
Yeah, I think you cut out for a second.
Oh, okay. If we got Spider-Gwen, Emma Stone playing, from what I heard, I believe I remember reading on IGN that Emma Stone was signed up for another project and she dropped that other project or pushed it back or something. I believe for this. So, I mean, I would be okay with seeing Spider-Gwen because they don't really have to explain it other than in her universe, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man died and she took the reins of being Spider-Man.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Because that storyline's already talked about in the Miles Morales into the Spider-Verse. So, I mean, and I think there was they tried, back when the Amazing Spider-Man was still, slated to, have more movies, they were thinking about introducing that. So, the Spider-Verse was, a thought in their head for a while now. Yeah. But it just didn't happen in that time.
Right.
I would be excited to see that. That storyline would be dope, too.
Yeah, and that's one, obviously, we're going to want to see Tobey Maguire and catch up with that character. We're going to want to catch up with Andrew Garfield's character. And, he's got the obvious scar of Gwen being dead. I'm sure we're going to want to – I'm going to want to see Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst as MJ married. I'm going to want to see – we're going to want to catch up with those characters. But if you introduced Emma Stone as Spider-Gwen, it wouldn't matter. Like, you could just throw her. She's one of the characters that you could have an additional Spider-Man, and you can just throw them in, and it would be fine. Plus, that would also give you a chance for Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and Emma Stone's Spider-Gwen, Gwen Stacy, to like get a proper goodbye before they have to go back to their universes.
Yes, that would be
Know what
so
I mean?
beautiful, honestly.
I think that'd be a really good send-off for that character.
Yes. But I mean, like, it would kind of because I mean, he already did come to terms with her death at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, he accepted the fate that she had, and he moved forward to protect the city. But
Right.
if we were to see those two together as Gwen Stacy as Spider-Gwen, I mean, it would just open up the wound even more. So I would love to see that scene happen.
Yeah, I think that'd be a cool one. And then I had just written these down because I thought it would be funny. I mean, could we see the Insomniac game Spider-Man?
No, not at all.
I doubt it because it would be too crazy. I don't want to see
the two in there.
Yeah, I don't want to.
And it was two, and they like changed the
Yeah.
faces. Everyone lost their shit. Granted, they're happy now, but everyone lost their shit. So no, I can't see that happening.
Yeah, I doubt that. That would just be too wild. What if they did this, dude? What if? Of course, it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense unless they did it from a different universe than the Raimi trilogy. What if they brought in Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man 2099?
No.
No.
The Sam Raimi Spider-Man is 2029?
Yeah.
No. Because that's another Latino character.
Is it really?
My race would be, huh?
Is it really?
The future Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell, I didn't know that.
You gotta rewatch Into the Spider-Verse because his name's Miguel.
I honestly didn't. I don't think I've ever actually read that comic book, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, they introduced him at the end of the movie, so like he's
Right.
a Latino character, and he's played by I think it's Oscar Isaac too, so that's dope.
Yeah.
And
yep.
I think I would be happy just to see him in the Miles Morales Into the Spider-Verse because they already introduced him. There's no need to bring any more Spider-Mans. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, it's going to be crowded enough. I don't think they need to. We don't need to throw anything else into that pool. I mean, it's going to be like everything but the kitchen sink already. So really, that brings us into our next couple of points. So talking about moving forward. So obviously, we have this Spider-Man film. We have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming up. But where are we going to go after that? And of course, like you said before, being Marvel and being Sony, they're wanting to make that fancy money and bring in as much as they can. So Mikey Sutton over on geekosity.com, again, public source, you can look at it yourself. He's got close proximity to these projects. He reported a while back that Marvel and Sony are both renegotiating their deal for Spider-Man and for Venom, which means that Spider-Man and Venom aren't going anywhere. They're going to stay a part of the MCU. And there are a ton of sources that had come out about a year ago and said, Spider-Man and Venom are going to play a major role in the MCU over the next phases 4, 5, and 6. So. I can see that because they're two strong characters. I could completely see, we've had Homecoming, we've had Far From Home, or when did was Venom between Homecoming and Far From Home?
I think so, yeah.
So we've had Spider-Man Homecoming, Venom, Spider-Man Far From Home, the Spider-Verse, and then I kind of predict that the third Venom film will be Spider-Man versus Venom. If we don't get Venom in the Spider-Verse film.
Wait, you said the fourth?
In the third Venom film.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Gotcha.
I could see that being a Spider-Man pinned against Venom thing.
Yeah, and I think that would be pretty dope to see because, well, I mean, the Venom series they want to follow the storyline of like, all the symbiotes and all the different types of
Right.
symbiotes that they have. So like I feel like they have a plan to lead up to talk about that storyline.
Hey guys, real quick, sorry, my tablet died, so I had to I'm using my phone right now. So, yeah, this is what happens when you have a low budget podcast. So we're trying our best.
Flipping the connection.
Anywho, what were we talking about? We were talking about I was talking about the Venom storyline and how like I think the Venom storyline that Sony's trying to do is going to be all about the symbiotes. Granted, I'm sure they'll want to bring Spider-Man into the fold, but I think the Venom movies are mainly focused on the whole symbiote storyline. But that's my 2 cents.
Right, and I think with that we could easily see when Spider-Man and Venom do meet up, and we do see that battle. I'm wondering if we will see black-suited Spider-Man in that thing. I think that would be.
I really would like to see that. Like that would be really cool.
Yep.
They have to introduce it.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really cool part of the Tobey Maguire series. Was when he put on the black suit, he was stronger. But it like. Remember, it made him like the dancing meme, Bully Maguire. That's like all of the
Maguire.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye, like that, all that stuff. Which of course I don't want to see Tom Holland be like, I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye. Like I don't want to see that. But I don't know. I would like to see black suited Spider-Man. And then of course we have our same sources that have said that. Marvel and Sony are wanting to make a deal so that we get 3 Spider-Man trilogies. So Homecoming, Far From Home, and this upcoming Spider-Verse film, which is one kind of the early years trilogy. And then we'll have, Peter in his college years, so a separate trilogy. And then another one of Peter in the adult years of being Spider-Man, which I think is a really smart idea. I think when Peter hits adulthood, that is when you introduce Miles Morales.
Yes, absolutely.
Because then you can follow the comics, have Peter killed off when Tom Holland's done with the role, or whatever story they want to tell, and then you can have Miles like jump full swing.
Pretty much, yeah. I could totally see it happening. Granted, that's thinking a little bit linear. Right. Because I'm sure they'll want to bring Miles Morales sometime in the near future. Yeah. But I think just in regards to the storyline itself with Spider-Man, I think that's the best storyline I believe would work out. So.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to bring Miles in to, like, I don't think they're going to have him come in during his college years and be in 2 of the movies without any powers. I think that's too much wait time. I think they're going to bring Miles into one of these films, and at the end of the movie, he's going to get bit. And then maybe in that final trilogy, the second film is Peter kind of teaching him how to be Spider-Man. He's teaching him, like, what he needs to do. He's teaching him how to use his powers. And then that last film is, like, the epic conclusion of Tom Holland's Spider-Man franchise, basically. So that's how I think about it. I think that would make sense. In my brain, that's kind of how I think about it. So,
yeah. And again, these are all our own theories. The MCU could have an entirely different plan, but I mean,
right? And they probably do.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. If Kevin Feige saw our podcast, he'd probably be like, "They got some good points, but they're just way outfield."
Yeah. So then, I mean, that's basically all of the news, guys. I question myself, are we going to see Tobey and Andrew any further than this film? Are we going to see Tobey and Andrew in the Multiverse of Madness? Are they going to be interchangeable? Or even could Sony do more sequels about those characters? You know what I mean? Could we finally get that Sam Raimi Spider-Man sequel? Could we get an Amazing Spider-Man 3? I don't think they're going to do that because I think they're going to wrap up these characters and put a bow on top in this Spider-Verse film. But I don't know. I don't know what this cliffhanger is going to be. That's the other thing is like, what, we talked about this before. Usually, in a trilogy, it rounds out. If you look at the Dark Knight trilogy, I know now we're hopping into DC land, but I mean, the Dark Knight trilogy had a clear 180 story arc, and this Kevin Feige kind of made it sound like this is not going to be a clean ending to the story. It's going to be a cliffhanger into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So I don't know. I'm curious.
Well, I'm sure there's also like another Avengers movie coming, like sometime down the line, called like probably the New Avengers. So like obviously Spider-Man is going to be more in touch with the Avengers. He's going to be a core member of the Avengers in the next Avengers film. So like it wouldn't surprise me if they left this like with a cliffhanger, because obviously they want to use Tom Holland for as long as they can, because he's still a young guy.
Yeah,
so like I can staying.
I completely agree with that. I will say in this Spider-Verse film, I don't know. I enjoyed Homecoming and Far From Home, but there was something about them that felt less Spider-Man. You know what I mean? And I think it was the location. I mean, obviously, Homecoming did take place in New York, but it wasn't typical New York. Like we had, like at the end, I believe they were on Coney Island. We had him like kind of traveling with Tony Stark, and then Far From Home was Far From Home. I mean, he was in Italy. He was in all these other countries. I mean, this Spider-Verse film, I want to see him in New York City. I want to see him jumping off the Empire State Building and, swinging by the World Trade Center and the Statue of Liberty. I mean, I want it to feel like New York City. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think one of the big things that people complained about with the whole Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man, is the fact that he didn't do much web slinging, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like when I remember when I went and saw Far From Home, at the very end when he's got MJ and he's swinging through the city with his phone and stuff, I was like, finally, like he's swinging on buildings. Like I've waited for this the whole. I mean, like not to say that any of the other stuff they did was bad. It was great. But I want to see them swinging through New York City in this movie, So that's something I've kind of I want out of this. I had kind of an awesome thought earlier. In Spider-Man, in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2, Doc-Ock is trying to make the fusion reaction, and like when his wife dies and everything. Of course, at the end of the movie, he's got those 4 ring things, and the fusion reaction's happening, and it's sucking in all the metal and stuff. And he says, you can't contain it, and he has to drown it. What if they use that as a way?
I think he cut out.
Did I? Hold on here. But yeah, so like, all the reactor and the fusion reaction that was happening, what if they use that as a way to get into Tobey Maguire's universe?
Like, well, I mean, I don't think that can happen, because the reactor was supposed to create a sun for like renewable energy.
Right.
So like, I doubt that could I doubt, like, they could do whatever they want, honestly, but like, they can make it. But I mean, I'm talking from like a novice scientific mind, I guess, that I don't think that's possible. So
yeah, I sincerely doubt that's going to happen. It was just like, as I was rolling through all the theories and stuff in my head, I was like, they could, but I don't know. I thought that was kind of a fun one. Have you seen any like crazy theories about this or anything that you've thought of?
The only thing I know, the only theory that I keep hearing about that I would love to see is the introduction of Matt Murdock.
Yeah. I've seen where like that hashtag Save Daredevil was a thing for a while.
Daredevil was by far one of the best Marvel TV shows that they did, and like I said, like here's my I want to say this is my theory of one of the storylines for the third Spider-Man film. Like, he's indicted for killing Mysterio, and Shield brings in Matt Murdock as his lawyer, and while they're going to trial, they use a scroll to impersonate Peter Parker to go to trial with Matt Murdock, while Tom Holland actually goes and swings away and tries
That's
to save the day.
wild,
Like
man.
that's a pretty like legitimate theory, and it could work. And I like that idea because I love the scrolls. I think the scrolls should be uh, more in touch with the movies now because obviously that anyone could be a scroll pretty much. Like I'm pretty sure
Right.
everyone lost their mind when they found out that when
Nick.
Samuel Jackson,
Yeah,
and
Nick Fury.
yeah,
Yeah,
they were all like everyone lost their mind with that.
I could see that. I think that's a little out there for the story they're trying to tell with the Spider-Verse, but I don't know. I'll tell you what I would really love to see. I think this would like make people tear up a little bit. I think it'd make me tear up a little bit. Is if we got Tobey Maguire to deliver the Spider-Man line, the whole "with great power comes great responsibility" to Tom Holland before that film ends. I think that would be incredible.
I thought you were gonna say the Tobey Maguire line of pizza time. I thought you were gonna
It's
say
like,
that. I was like, no.
it's coming to the movie's coming to a close, and it's all crazy and like emotional and dramatic, and Tobey Maguire just goes, "Pizza time," and then he goes back to his universe. Like that's it. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would just like the Avengers end credit scene. You remember what they did? Like they brought all the Avengers back and they all just started eating shawarma.
Eating the shawarma, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland just sitting there and Tobey Maguire comes in with pizza and he's like, pizza time.
That would be
I would love
awesome. That'd be funny.
That'd be hilarious.
But yeah, I think that would be awesome if Toby said that to Tom. I think that would be a really cool like fan service
There it is again.
thing. You know what I mean? So because we haven't. That's the other thing that we haven't gotten from the Tom Holland universe was the Uncle Ben stuff. You know what I mean? We haven't gotten to see Uncle Ben. There is no Uncle Ben. There's just Aunt May.
Yeah, there's another storyline where they're talking about maybe either Tom Holland thinks either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire is Uncle Ben. Like I would love to see that
Really?
theory come into play. I know a lot of people do memes about that, but it would honestly be very surreal to see that because we don't have an Uncle Ben in this Spider-Man.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it'd be cool if he delivered that. You know, it's going to be speculation city until we get, you know, more official news and, you know, before we get a teaser trailer. I'm excited, you know, of course, watching these movies, you know, watching Spider-Man 3 from 12 years ago, I would never have expected the fact that we would be seeing these characters again. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think it's going to be epic seeing all of them back on screen together, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited.
Oh yeah, for sure. And whenever I saw the first trilogy of Spider-Man, like I never thought any of this would have happened.
No.
Like it's safe to say that that trilogy kind of propelled the idea that hey, superhero movies work because we've had some bombs for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where this all takes place.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. I mean, I really think this has the potential to be one like in the top 5 best things that Marvel and Sony both have ever done. I really do.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly think that. And you know, I think they know what they have. I don't think they would have let all of this stuff leak if they didn't know what they had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think this is just one of their like little tricks that they're doing to like get us more intrigued because you know it's been a solid year since we've had a MCU movie. So like, how else do you bring all of these people back than just dropping all of these leaks and be like, oh, here's this might be happening and this might be happening. To get on board because the Marvel train is coming back.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes if they let some of that stuff get out on purpose just because they know that like fans are gonna be like losing their minds and like running around like with their phone in their pocket, like you know what I mean? Like they're gonna be throwing money at a TV screen. So either way, I think this is gonna be amazing. Do you got anything else? I think that's everything.
No, I think I'm all good and ready to go for the next podcast.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. Next week we will be talking our predictions for Godzilla versus Kong, and hopefully be settling a friendship-long debate on these two characters. So
I'll let you guess who's Team Godzilla and who's Team Kong, guys.
yeah. Take your guess. Who's on which team? So that's gonna do it for us. We want to thank you guys for listening. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, Instagram, Anchor at We Talk the Movies. Again, next week we're talking Godzilla versus Kong. And remember, new episodes drop every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we will talk to you guys soon. Peace.
See ya.